When Nintendo first showed the Wii, many wondered if controlling a standard game with the motion controls would be more annoying than fun. This has been the case when the Waggle Wand has replaced typical button configurations. Conversely, games that are created with the Wii Remote in mind first have been great. Spider-Man 3 is a mixture of both. Developed by a completely different team than the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions, it straddles the line between convention and invention. But does it succeed on either front?
I'm not falling for your tricks.
While attempting to stay true to the film's convoluted story, the game's prose is bigger than its cinematic counterpart. Several familiar villains appear throughout the game, so while the film's plot is the main one, the many game-specific storylines add some scope. This, however, has been true of all the film-based Spider-Man games, and the offshoots aren't tied to the main plot very well, or are all that fleshed out either.
Very funny.
Past Spider-Man games have been criticized for a lack of variety in mission objectives, and nothing's really changed here. You get the typical go from point A to point B aspirations, along with snapping pictures, mopping up gangs of bad guys, and taking down bosses. There are literally hundreds of missions, but they rarely stray from the typical. And the ones that do, don't make a whole lot of sense. Asking a legendary crime fighter like Spider-Man to deliver delicious fruit pies is a total underutilization of the character.
You got any idea how hungry I was getting?
Spider-Man 3 on the Wii does not look good. The lighting is constantly shifting, making characters look like human disco balls. Also, because of the sheer amount of buildings, the textures suffer, and most skyscrapers amount to little more than gray blocks. The camera is in serious need of an overhaul, something that's true for all iterations of the game. In addition, the frame rate takes a serious hit every time 5 or more characters are in a scuffle. The game is also just plain buggy. Sometimes, Spider-Man will briefly freeze while everyone else moves around him. The cinemas often look sloppy and feel completely rushed, and once in a while, Tobey Maguire's voice will mysteriously slow down. Kinda like the peyote scene in Young Guns.
Hey, JJ, don't you ever cut a guy a break?
Attacks are mostly limited to the A button and shaking the Wii Remote left or right. With the B button, you can shoot webbing at foes to blind them or swing them into their compatriots. Unlike other console versions, the Wii Spider-Man 3 allows you to upgrade your combat skills using a branching system. But even with that option, the fighting gets repetitive way too early. As in the other versions, there are God of War-like context-sensitive moments, where you're required to move the Wii Remote and nunchuck in specific directions. These somewhat cinematic moments look cool enough and help break up the monotonous combat, but are in no way innovative. Swinging around the city is interesting, but that's the nicest possible way to describe it. Using the Wii Remote, you first hold down the B button, and then flick the remote forward, and Spidey throws out his webbing and begins to swing. Letting go of the B button will make him release the web, and then you have to hit it again, and then flick the Wii Remote again. There is the option to alternate between the Wii Remote and the nunchuck while swinging, but add these mechanics to steering Spider-Man with the analog stick, and it's akin to rubbing your belly and tapping the top of your head at the same time. Initially, you'll find yourself swinging in the wrong direction or swinging into the side of buildings. It's great that the developer tried to use the Wii Remote in a unique way, but it's far too archaic and just flat out difficult to come to grips with. Trying to crawl on the side of a building is also a frustrating endeavor, since the camera fights you the entire time. You eventually gain the power to use the black suit. When wearing the symbiote, your attacks are stronger, and you slowly build up a meter that culminates in a rage attack. Use it too much, and it will consume Peter, who will pass out and forfeit the current mission.
Don't call back!
To take the suit off, you'll have to complete a context-sensitive moment, completely ignoring the fact that the symbiote costume comes to Peter in a ridiculous scene in Central Park. The black suit is a cool concept, but the combat ultimately doesn't feel that much different. The Wii version of Spider-Man 3 plays sloppy, looks bad, and just doesn't feel complete. As with the other iterations, if it wasn't rushed to market to coincide with the movie release, it would definitely be worth playing. The attempt to create the game specifically for the Wii controls is an admirable effort. It's just a shame that it wasn't better executed.
All those tests and nothing!